I've been on the news.
If you say no, I will. Maybe I can kind of sit here.
I do.
This is definitely a thing you'll want to be able to take a lot of notes for yourself.
Yeah, maybe purple. Let's see, how bright is this?
My goodness. As I break everything in sight. Maybe switch that way just a little bit so I can squeeze that. Here is.
Okay, that's not bad.
I'll put my stuff here. And then I'll do the video chat on my phone. My laptop, my camera doesn't work ever. Haley. And Karen. Go. And maybe Haley and Ken can sit by the candle.
The first is of the Sangre de Cristo.
Hi, Haley. And maybe Ken. Okay. I think everything is situated. Anthony and Isla are here. Hi. Ken said he would probably try to do the video chat too, and Pam will have to watch the live later because she's sick. So, do you have the book?
No.
No. Okay. So, this is the book that we're going to start on, and we will start on the forward. And I'd like, because my thought is we'll try to get through to the end of chapter 1 together today, reading aloud, because that way at least you won't have to read it at home if you, this has like a lot of assignments. This class will have a lot of assignments, and so it can be overwhelming a little bit. So if you've at least read the information once, that might be nice. So do you both of you feel comfortable reading out loud?
Sure.
And how about you, Haley? Do you feel comfortable reading out loud? Okay. I don't have a way of hooking up to the speaker, but hopefully this is loud enough. Okay. So Anthony, why don't you read the foreword, and me and Isla and Haley will follow along.
Gladly.
Sorry about all my notes, but
I live alone atop, preface to the 30th anniversary edition of The Artist's Way. I live alone atop a mountain in Santa Fe, New Mexico. My mail arrives over muddy roads as long as they are passable. Today, my mail contained a book. Oh.
Because ours is the 25th, I forgot. Yeah, but go ahead and read yours.
I got 30.
We'll read ours, yeah.
Okay. Today, my mail contained a book. The book held a note which read, "Dear Julia, I used your Artist's Way tools, and this book is the result. I received the book gladly. Over the past 30 years, I have collected many mementos, books, and other memorabilia, paintings, sculptures, earrings, necklaces, and even shoes. My house is filled with what I call Artist's Way trophies, the physical proof that the tools in this book do indeed unlock creativity. Practitioners of the Artist's Way also share stories, success stories. Emma Lively, a composer, entered the Artist's Way as a highly successful but unfulfilled classical violist.
Violinist, I think? Or violist.
Violist, yeah, that's it, violist, yeah, that's right. Working the tool, she encountered a long-buried dream. As a youngster, she had planned to write her own music. Growing up, in the name of being sensible, she had set this dream aside, learning to play the music of other people, real composers as she thought of them. The memory of her childhood dream was sharp-edged. Wasn't the dream beyond her reach? Shouldn't she be more modest? More satisfied with a conventional career? The pages of her journal, morning pages, a tool you'll soon encounter, mounted up. The memory of her dream became ever more acute. Just try, the pages urged. The risk seemed enormous. Who did she think she was? Wasn't she dreaming too big for her britches? Try, the pages repeated their dare. And Emma did try, if only to get the pages to hush up. I locked myself in a room with a piano. As soon as I shut the door, I began to hear music. The music Emma heard became a collection of small songs. Next, the pages suggested a story with music to accompany it. Braver now, Emma wrote her first musical. At this writing, her third musical, Bliss, premiered in Seattle to standing ovations and is hopefully Broadway bound. Emma finds herself writing more music daily. She is now a composer playing her own music as she dared herself to dream. Stories like Emma's are the fruit of using artists' sway tools. Morning pages led to expansion. What begins as a risk soon becomes a risk taken. Only try, just a baby step, the pages coax. And the baby steps soon become strides into a new and more exciting world. I've been using the tools in this book for more than 3 decades. When I'm asked if I still do morning pages, I answer in the affirmative. I still do pages because they still work. At their urging, I have written poems, songs, plays, musicals, and many books. I'm not alone in finding them effective. I recently did a book signing, speaking to a crowd of seekers about the magic of morning pages. A tall man approached the desk where I sat. I want to thank you, the man announced softly, for a quarter century of morning pages. In all that time, I missed only one day, the day I had a quadruple bypass surgery. That's a good excuse. That's a fair excuse.
I feel guilty now.
Yeah.
I missed for way worse reasons, or no?
Yeah. I pictured the man recovering in his hospital bed. A journal.
It's Dwight!
Hey!
Hooray! Okay. Dwight! Hello! Oh my goodness, no! Come in.
Hello.
Hello.
Here, you can smush in here. You know Isla? Probably not.
I didn't even hear the name. I'll tell you
Isla? Like
Isla?
island, but Isla.
Isla.
Yeah.
What a beautiful name.
I know. This is right. Okay. Here we go. Sorry.
Spell your name.
A-Y-L-A.
A-Y-L-A.
I had a student one time with the same name, but it was spelled like the beginning of the word island.
I
I-S.
love that. I
L.
really do.
A.
We wanted
Isn't
to.
that pretty?
We if we had a second, we were gonna go with Elio.
And Haley's here
Until-
too.
Oh, hello. Until we found out Pixar is making a movie called Elio.
Oh, yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah, now we
Aw.
can't use it.
Can't sacrifice
It's like
the child's first 20 years of their life to
Yeah.
a Disney movie. I can
Yeah.
understand.
Did I give you this yet?
No.
Maybe, actually, do you want to scrunch so you can look over Anthony's shoulder, or do you just want to listen?
I'm reading really
I
well.
have to be really close to Anthony.
I
Yeah.
understand.
I did shower before I came.
No, it's the other way. I'm worried.
Oh, sure.
I'm not sure after I showered this morning.
Well, if it helps you any, I can't smell a thing. But
Okay, we'll smell nothing together. I have
Yeah, fair
allergies. They're terrible right now. My
Uh,
house is full of mold. My kitchen
Oh,
sink is
no.
leaking. I'm sorry. Don't let me derail this class.
Why? Oh, no. Everybody's going through a lot right now. I hope
Yeah.
that this class will help all of us,
as a,
put ourselves first,
yeah,
which
right.
is shockingly difficult to do. So, anyways, Anthony's just reading the foreword right now aloud so we can all hear.
Oh, okay.
I'll read that sentence again because it makes us all feel guilty. I want to thank you, the man announced softly, for a quarter century of morning pages. In all that time, I missed only one day, the day I had quadruple bypass surgery. I pictured the man recovering in his hospital bed, a journal propped by his side. He now looked a picture of vibrant health. His well-being was palpable. Was that also a boon of the pages? No arena of our life is immune to their wisdom. With pages in place, we are guided. The hunch, the inkling, gradually becomes a working part of the mind. We know intuitively what to embrace and what to avoid. We become sure-footed on a spiritual path, although we may not call it that. Artist sway tools move us to act on our own behalf. They warn us when our energies are being hijacked, serving others but not ourselves. The energy we have previously expended, wishing and hoping others would do things our way, becomes our own energy expended now along fruitful lines. Paradoxically, as we become willing to act on our own behalf, we begin to attract support. As we become increasingly clear-headed, others are attracted to our clarity. Sometimes this clarity is manifested physically, better posture, brighter eyes. You seem different, friends will remark, and we are different. Increasingly true to ourselves, we become original. We are, after all, the origin of our dreams and ideals. And as our values become more clear to ourselves, our value to others increases. True to ourselves, we simultaneously become more true to others. Trusting ourselves, we become more trustworthy. I've worked the artist's way 4 times, one practitioner told me, and each time I've had a major breakthrough. A step at a time, I have been gently led. My career now went from a dream into reality. Over the years, it has been my privilege to help midwife life-changing transformations. I'm thinking now of Victoria, who entered the artist's way as a talented but frustrated actress. Working with the tools, she realized a dream of directing. Stepping out as a leader, she was no longer frustrated. It just took daring, and the tools afforded her that. Morning pages are a loving witness to our growth process. They are a safety net for our dreams. Artist dates are solo adventures taken once weekly that help assure us that the world indeed is a benevolent place. Taken together, the 2 tools are powerful levers for change. For 3 decades now, I have watched the tools at work, moving people from lives of frustration into lives of joy. Pages, one screenwriter declares, I love them. And what's more, I think that they love me. I've been writing 13 feature films, or I've written 13 feature films. Holy crap. Pages do feel like a loving and loyal friend. They gently move us to act in our own best interests. They move us from self-obsession into self-confidence. Artists at heart, we forge lives that are artful. We dare to name ourselves artists and to live the artist's way. And that's the floor from Julia Cameron.
So I want to tell you first, before we move forward, about the morning pages, which is what this is. This is the companion book. It's just blank. Okay, I'm gonna put this picture in here so I remember to frame it later. It's just blank pages, and they're humongous. So the first assignment, and the assignment that's supposed to last for the rest of our lives, in theory, is that we write morning pages every morning. 3 of these pages, just free form, like whatever comes into your mind. You don't worry about punctuation or content or spelling. You can be whiny or bratty. And the point of that is to clear your mind of garbage that is blocking your creative energy from being expressed, basically. And the other point is to sort of have a conversation with yourself and guide yourself forward. And I was really resistant to the idea of doing this kind of journaling. It feels very tedious and boring to me. But it works. It really makes a difference. So she's very adamant that the morning pages should be completed in the morning, Julia Cameron, the one who wrote this book, and that you need to write with a pencil or pen on paper. And there is actually evidence behind that being the best way of going about the journaling. I have a playlist about journaling that I'm going to send out to the class. So if you feel interested in learning more about the reasons why journaling is like scientifically beneficial, it's not just like a nice thought. Like it really does work. I agree. That's probably the best way to do things. But like I can't always keep up with that regimen, to be honest. So I also have a Google Doc, and I'll just like voice journal sometimes when I'm busy. And I'll be honest, like I've had times when I'm really, like this last year has been really crazy for me. Sometimes I haven't journaled at all, and I can so tell a difference now after I was consistent with it for a while. And you're not supposed to go back and read them or judge the pages or even look at them for a while, not till after a while has gone by. Because part of the point of this book is to silence our inner critic that is stifling our creativity. And so that is like a daily task that we want to establish and try to be really consistent with from now on. But my opinion is, if you need to do voice journal, if you need to type it, if you need to text it, or if you need to only do like half a page or a few sentences a day, I mean, no, that's not the best thing, but it's better than nothing, because you couldn't, either you could do perfect or you could do nothing. If those are the 2 choices, like I'd say pick a middle ground that day, because it's going to be better than doing nothing.
Did you say use sentences?
Use sentences. a few sentences.
Oh, you said,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Like if you just
Sorry.
can even write a few
Yes,
sentences,
yes.
like that still is shockingly way better than nothing. Because eventually you probably will want to go back. I have. Like I wrote all of these over months. I'm telling you, doing this book like blew my life up. Which and still I feel like I'm still like kind of like trying to walk forward through that. And it's not just this book. I've been doing therapy and stuff too, right? But like it was crazy to me what a difference it made. And so many times it's like the morning pages felt like I was having a conversation with myself. Like I would be like just writing and you aren't supposed to try to like even like write in paragraphs and stay on topic. Just like whatever thought comes into your head, you just write it, write. And I would be like, I'm frustrated about this thing. And it's like my brain, it's like you're asking your brain a question and your brain will give you answers as you keep going. A lot of times, like I came up with solutions to some problems I would be facing. And I sometimes would keep like my laptop or a different piece of paper or whatever there and like pause and like write down the idea of like, okay, I need to do this today, or this is a choice I need to make with this crossroads I'm at. Like I now know, so like I could like take the insights I derived from the morning pages. And it's not like every morning is gonna be like a burst of tons of ideas. But does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about that?
No, that makes sense.
Any comments or thoughts about the forward so far, or questions, or
I'm always.
Whitey Poo? Aww, you're like really going through it right now.
Yeah, I guess so. I also had a day. I was like crying all the way over here,
Oh,
so it's not just this, I promise.
Yeah, I believe that.
Oh my god. But yeah, I felt like I was reading a Bible written by David Lynch.
David
I
Lynch.
don't know who that is. David Lynch.
He did like Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
Haley
yeah,
knows.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Good for you.
I
Haley.
forgot you existed, Haley.
No, maybe I should tilt her so we can kind of all sort of see her. Wow,
Where
like what does that
she can
mean?
suddenly
A
see.
Bible written by David Lynch, because I don't know what that means.
I don't, okay, what it means to me is like, he's a very like, he does a lot of like, his stuff is very surreal and like, it doesn't, like he did this crazy TV show that it lasted years, and then he like made a weird, like at the end, one of the characters made a weird comment about like seeing in 30 years or something like that, and then 30 years later, he literally like made the next season.
What?
Yeah, and it was like amazing, but like he's just weird, and he's a director of movies, okay. That's clear, and TV shows. He did an adaptation of Dune that like I think he thought was terrible. He's like, don't, he'd tell you not to watch it probably, but
I love
Yeah.
I just really after we watched Twin Peaks, we always noticed in Twin Peaks that it was very frequent that there was cops a lot and they would have donuts a lot.
What?
And so we were always wanting donuts while watching Twin Peaks. And then we watched this little like documentary that with David Lynch, I think he made or something. And it started out and he was like introducing it. And like literally the intro scene was just like him standing there, and like he has a box of donuts, and he's like he just like looks at the camera, he's like, this is a donut, and like he just starts going on about how wonderful donuts are. But then later on, like you see him talking in front of people, and they ask him about his artistic process, and like he tells them about how you just like you're basically like fishing for these ideas, and like you just have to be like open to seeing them, and then when you see it, like write it down, and then like you'll start collecting like clusters of ideas together that will eventually like become some work that you finish.
Yeah.
And I just was like, oh wow, like that is the first time I've ever heard anybody talk about like the artistic process in such a practical, simple way.
Big step-by-step process.
And so I just looked like that kind of insight, and to talk about it like that, I had instant respect for the man, especially after seeing Twin Peaks. But anyway, but he's really into like transcendental meditation, and he talks about that a lot. And
a little bit, yeah.
but anyway, so it just he's just a really wild, interesting guy. I think he may have died recently. I don't
Oh,
even
no.
know.
He just died like weeks ago.
And I'm just hearing
Like,
about
it was
this guy.
tragic. Yeah, I was
I'm a
like,
huge David Lynch fan.
it was a
Yeah,
bummer
it's great.
day. Yeah.
Aw.
Sorry, Haley. I feel like I interrupted you.
No, I interrupted you. I was just adding that he did in fact pass away like only a few weeks ago, but he's
Wow.
like one of the best directors of all time for sure, in my opinion.
Wow.
So,
That's so sad.
have you ever heard him speak or talk about any of that stuff, Haley?
Yeah, a little bit. I've listened to some interviews like about Twin Peaks, and I've watched it like only a million times.
What?
I've seen like some of his commentary on it and stuff, but the transcendental meditation I didn't know about, and that's really fascinating because it's not surprising, but that's really cool that he was into that.
So, I just kind of want to like read and then stop and talk about the assignments and any insights we have about the reading, because that way if we can't get through the reading on our own, like I would love for everybody to read it again on their own, but that way at least we've like covered the material. So that's the reading, a little bit of the reading, and this is an assignment, right? The morning pages. So does that make sense, like what the morning pages is?
Yeah.
And the point of them? Okay. And so
Our morning pages can be like absolutely anything.
yes,
right? Like
it should be.
There's no, it's, okay.
As far as I
It's just
understood,
like
it was
vomiting
literally like,
onto the page.
like examine your own thoughts, write them down, whatever they
Yeah.
were.
And like
What
if
did
you
you
are
see?
sitting there and you're like, I can't think of anything to write, right? I can't think of anything to
Yeah,
write. The walls
exactly.
are white. The sun is shining, like whatever. And like this is one other thing I wanted to add really quick before we move forward. This is really hard to make time for because it feels like everything else on your to-do list for the day is far more important than taking time to write a bunch of nonsense on these pages. Which is why you should do it first thing. Like you can keep this like on your nightstand before you even get out of bed, start writing. And you don't have to do this, but I thought it was useful to write the time actually. Like I would write the time and the date, and like if I did take a break to like write down ideas, I'd like write the time I ended, and then I'd write, okay, I started back up again at 8:48. I started at this time, and then I took a break, and then so I could see kind of it took me like nearly an hour. Like hopefully you all will be faster at writing the pages, but it took me a long time to get through writing these.
Yeah, that is a lot of. Well, I was sitting
I
like
got a
playing games with
smaller
myself
journal.
already, and I was like, I can just write real big, you know.
Double space.
You can
you were
write
saying
on
those
smaller
like maybe
pages.
just a few sentences. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
No shame. I'm not going to be shaming you for it. Like I'm hoping to provide a balance of like accountability from me as a teacher and from the group. Like people will know what you did, but in a gentle way. Like nobody's here to like condemn anybody else if like you had a rough week and you didn't like write any pages. Like nobody's gonna like be mad at you. But without the accountability, it kind of falls apart in my experience, unless
Sure.
you're like a super disciplined person
Yeah.
without much going on in your life.
Sure.
But like once you establish the practice, it's easier to keep going with it. And so like that's what I meant about putting yourself first, to prioritize your own clarity of mind, your own creativity, your own happiness, and mental well-being is so difficult. It feels like emptying the dishwasher is more important, and like getting your kid ready for school is more important, and like sweeping the floor is more important, and like getting to work on time is more important, and like getting enough sleep. Like if you have trouble sleeping, it's hard to make yourself get up early enough to do this. And so it's like you have to really make yourself think, what do I have to do to prioritize myself? Because no one in the world can get what they truly deserve to have from you, the beautiful person you are, if your brain is clogged with garbage, right? Like you have to get out before you start the day. So I'm just hoping we all, including me, because I was describing yesterday in the voice class, I'm not going to be teaching this class per se. I'm just like kind of facilitating the environment for it. We will all be teaching ourselves. Like, if I don't know the answers to the questions you'll have, like for what you need to do, you have the answers already. So it's a matter of discovering them for yourself, but like until you can, it's so hard. It's so hard to put yourself first and to prioritize yourself, but until you do, you won't be able to move forward effectively.
Yeah.
So.
I do feel like I kind of almost have a small bit of a habit of like, there are some thoughts where it's like, I know this one is clogging me up. And so I literally just have to like send myself an email or like, you know, it's like, I'm gonna take care of this later. I need to
Yes.
just flush this now, you know?
Yes.
So that's, I feel like this is like an
That is a
amped up
method of
version
journaling.
that, yeah.
Writing a to-do list, that's in that playlist that I'll send to the class. Like, there's a lot of different types of journaling, but morning pages is one type of journaling, and so that's what we're going to start with. Depending on how long the class goes, if we get through the whole book, we have lots more things we can do. I was going to say, if you do have like a rough day, I was going to show you. There is this other type of journaling. I tried this for a while. Some people like this. You just like write strokes. You don't write any words and you just think while you do it. If you're like having a really emotionally overwhelming day, that's another tactic you could use. I didn't find a ton of benefit from it myself, but some people really love that. It like helps them process through their thoughts and emotions in an effective way. So,
That's wild. Literally last year when I got moved over to my new position, I told you about it.
you both have really demanding jobs right now.
I totally flooded like emotionally for a little while. I was totally overwhelmed.
I remember.
And the only thing I would spend hours at work. I had just gotten into pens and like finding the best pen ever.
Yeah, that's a
You know?
fun hobby.
I bought some like fancy Japanese little notebooks and I was like, oh, I'm
That's
gonna
awesome.
take notes for work or whatever. But like I when I didn't know, I couldn't get myself to do anything else. I would literally just like write the same sentence over and over again, or like
You can do
just
that
do
with
those
this.
little strokes over and over again,
Yeah.
basically. Because it's weird that like like somehow just did this. It's just
Yeah.
so I just
Yeah.
like didn't have it. I couldn't do anything else, so I did that.
Yeah.
But I feel it's weird. I don't know. It's almost validating. Like,
Yeah.
it was like
It's a real
at
thing.
the time I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like this is all I can do right now. You know?
Yeah.
And, like I
Like
felt
that
terrible
feeling
about
of
it.
like
often,
a
you know?
wind up duck in the water, just like swimming in circles, kind of like
Yeah.
right? Is that a feel, like I know exactly?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that feeling of overwhelm.
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe you just write the same sentence over and over again until you fill up the 3 pages, or you can do that. I don't know if you can see that, Haley. Like you don't write the words. This isn't the ideal way. The ideal way is to write the words, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of different techniques that are legit techniques if you need something really simple to help you get through the day.
I'm so sorry. I feel like I've just been hijacking this.
No.
No.
Your insights actually help it.
Yes, so let's move on to the forward from the 25th edition, since we have 2 different editions here. Do you like to read out loud, Ella?
No, I know.
No? Okay. I can read this one then, unless you want to read it, Dwight.
I can try. Sure.
It's pretty
Sure.
short. It's just this little bit here.
Everything or just the form?
Oh, just the printed part.
Okay.
The other part of my notes.
This is the grand 25th anniversary edition of The Artist's Way. How deeply it has affected so many people. Back in the early 90s, Julia dared to claim that each and every person has within them a source
Oh,
of creativity.
Can you hear, Haley?
Yeah, but I realized I have a 30th edition.
Yeah,
I think that's
so-
why it's
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's what I
Anthony-
was reading.
Anthony just read the 30th edition, but I have the 25th edition, and I'm just saying Dwight could read. It's a pretty short forward, but it's kind of interesting to hear like what they both said. So you just listen to this part; you won't be able to follow along.
Oh, okay. Each and every person has within them a source of creativity that it can be watered and it can bloom. How democratic, how American. The art is not just for the elite, the special few struck by lightning. What she says is liberating and true. There is a hunger out there. It continues to sell at a fast pace and be absorbed into our conscious. I've seen it on display in the obvious places, bookstores, art museums, but I've also seen it for sale on the shelf of a hardware store, a grocery counter, in a pharmacy, and at a map store. The secret of creativity has seeped over into odd nooks and crannies, out of closets, into bare sight. Julia Cameron is my friend. We share the love of place, one of a writer's primary tools. We knew each other in Taos New Mexico, if that's how you say that, where a deep source of creativity sprung. I know her now also in Santa Fe, walking her dog through the Camisa.
Yeah,
Camisa. One day we were together and I was complaining about my life's trajectory. She turned to me with her blue eyes and soft smile and said, I want to never stop opening up people's lives. And she practices what she preaches, writing plays, musicals, novels, and little known to many, bakes a terrific peach pie. She's also a deep and dedicated listener to many a friend's woes. Julia continues to grow her inner life. People feel this in the book's integrity. May the artist's way continue to enlighten, march on through the transience of politics, the zigzag shifts in our human life. May it continue to be available for a long, long time, says Natalie Goldberg.
Okay. And
Chinese.
you what?
I got stuck on the word.
Oh, sorry.
And I'll read this next part, which is the introduction to the 25th anniversary edition. But yours, let's
I think it's
see,
a little bit different.
it's a little different, so kind of get bonus content here.
Yay!
I'm seated alone in a cafe, dining solo. A woman approaches my table. Pardon me, she says. Has anyone ever told you you resemble Julia Cameron? Which, by the way, her picture's on the back of the journal. Startled, I reply, I am Julia Cameron. Now it's the woman's turn to be surprised. Oh my God, she explains, your book changed my life. It made me a novelist. That's wonderful, I tell her, genuinely pleased. I bet you hear stories like mine all the time, the woman says. In fact, I do, but it does not take away the thrill. 25 years ago, I published The Artist's Way, a book that I think of as a support kit for artists. Its popularity caught me by surprise. I thought I was writing a book for myself and a handful of friends. Instead, I wrote a book that spoke to millions. It had a central premise. We are all creative. And with the use of a few simple tools, we can all become more creative. Creativity, I believed, was a spiritual practice, which I underlined that sentence, and please do feel free to mark up your book a ton. Either highlighting or writing notes or underlining, you should do that. And then you can see your insights when you circle back again a second time like I'm doing right now. We had only to open ourselves up to the great creator working through us. We became channels for spiritual energy to enter the world. Writing, painting, dancing, acting, no matter what form our creativity took, the great creator caused us to flourish. And so encounters like mine in the cafe became commonplace. I meant to say this before. She does talk about spirituality in this book quite a bit, but she says, if you listen to her speeches and stuff, just substitute for the words great creator, whatever faith practice makes sense to you. If you believe in the traditional Christian God, if you just believe in source energy, if you're an atheist and no divinity makes sense to you, you can think of your source of creativity. So whatever spirituality or lack thereof makes sense to you. You don't have to believe in any certain spiritual practice for this to make sense. Does that make sense? The sentence is always the same. Your book changed my life. No, I often reply, you changed your life. You used the tools I laid out for you. I think it's important for people to own their own spiritual practice. My toolkit is simple, and it invites practitioners to embrace simplicity. The recent review of my latest book noted that the tools were simple and repetitive. I think of this as a good thing. The tools do not change book to book. The same simple tools that worked in The Artist's Way work still a dozen books later. In my travels, I encountered practitioners who have used the tool for years. I've done morning pages for 15 years, a man recently told me. His morning pages, 3 pages of longhand morning writing, have filled journal after journal. He doesn't give them up because they work. A woman tells me the second primary tool, the artist dates, a once a week festive solo expedition, have given her life a sense of adventure. Used together, morning pages and artist dates do transform lives. I've given your book to my mother and my sister, a woman tells me at a book signing. It worked for all of us, she says. Now I want you to sign a book for my boyfriend. I ask his name and write the simple phrase, may our words be friends. I trust that the book will work for him too. I have come to rely on the book. I trust that it is indeed life-changing. Julia, don't you get tired of hearing our stories? I'm asked. The answer is no. Creativity never gets tiresome. It is always an adventure. one I have been privileged to share. I was a very unhappy lawyer, a Broadway actor tells me. Then I used your tools. Now I'm an actor and a happy one. I was what you call a shadow artist, which that's like a term you'll hear the definition of as we go along. A thriving director tells me. I was a producer until I used your toolkit and emerged as a director. I worked with your book 3 times, and each of the times I had a breakthrough. Thank you. Your tools felt natural to me, a fine art photographer tells me. I used to create in spurts, but your tools have given me consistent productivity. Before using the artist's way, my life was very dramatic, a poet tells me. I was always waiting for inspiration to strike like lightning. Now I know my creativity is a steady flow. I write poems regularly and work without high drama. The poems I write are just as good as any I wrote before. Sentiments like these make my years of teaching worthwhile. I'm delighted to have been of service. I receive heartfelt letters thanking me for my work and telling me of the changes it has wrought. Occasionally, the thank yous are more public. Novelist Patricia Cornwell thanked me in the dedication of her thriller Trace. Musician Pete Townsend cited the artist's way in his autobiography, Who I Am. While it is thrilling to have celebrity endorsements, the book is perhaps at its best helping lesser knowns, and the help isn't restricted to creativity issues. Julia, I was drunk in the Outback. Now I'm sober and a Hollywood screenwriter, one practitioner wrote to me. It's not uncommon for users of the pages to face down difficult issues such as sobriety, childhood trauma, and obesity. The pages urge honesty in facing down demons. Last fall, I taught in Sedona a class of 90 people. On the second night, a meeting was convened for all who felt the impact of the artist's way on their well-being. Person after person cited breakthroughs to clarity and health. When it was my turn to share, I told the group that their recovery gave me great pride. I was grateful for their acknowledgement, grateful too for the many and varied strides they had taken toward mental, physical, and spiritual health. Julia, I'm sometimes asked, aren't you afraid you're unblocking a lot of bad art? No, I replied. The opposite seems to be the case. The
Rough, Jesus.
I know. The unblocked art is often very fine, and I find myself thinking, how could they not have known they were an artist? And yet, many people do not know until they encounter my book. Many artists have never received critical early encouragement. As a result, I'm sure we can all identify with that. It's like, as a result, they may not have known they are artists at all. Artists love other artists. Shadow artists are gravitating to their rightful tribe, but cannot yet claim their birthright. I urge them to step forward out of the shadows and into the sunlight of creativity. Most of the time, when we are blocked in an area of our life, it's because we feel safer that way. The toolkit lends its practitioners a sense of safety. As they learn to take small risks in their morning pages, they are led to larger risks. A step at a time, they emerge as artists. It has been a quarter of a century since the tools were first published. It gives me great satisfaction that the book continues to sell and sell well. It reinforces my belief that we are all creative and have a hunger for further creativity. And so, any questions about any of that, or comments or thoughts? So I want to tell you about the second assignment now, which is the artist date. And so at the end of chapter 1, they have, and each chapter, they'll have like all of these ideas that you can reflect on, or at least in the 25th anniversary edition, the basic principles. And so you'll read kind of about like the definitions of these terms, like shadow artist and artist date and morning pages. The artist date in my edition is on page 18, which we probably won't read that far this week, but I'd like us to go ahead and start trying to institute the practice of the artist date this week, even if you don't feel like you 100% understand what it is. For me, the only way that I can like really make myself feel the feelings that you should have for planning and experiencing an artist date, it's like I have to separate myself into two entities in my mind. So I think, okay, my friend Heather, who is me, I am trying to plan a special like little date for her, like in a little event. It's a date with yourself, so no one else is allowed to come. Not even like a child or your spouse. It has to be alone. Those are the rules. Like what would I plan for my friend Heather if I was trying to help her feel cherished, happy, appreciated, free, adventurous, or like whatever feeling I know my friend Heather probably really needs right now. Like to think of yourself with the compassion that you would for like your spouse or your child, like some or your parent, like somebody you really care about, your best friend. Like you probably have planned special things for all of those kinds of people in your life. And for me, if I can think of myself as like if I was planning this for a different person who happens to be me, that helps me get my mind into the right place to be able to think of that. So I can give you a few examples of some of the artist states that I planned for myself when I was doing this before. It can be really simple, like you can go for a walk on a trail you haven't ever been to before, spending time outside in nature and your eyes seeing nature and not looking at your phone for the whole time is incredibly beneficial for your mental health. You could plan it for like if it's a really busy week and you need it to be like a 15 or 20-minute date, fine. It would be nice where it was like maybe a few hours, but I also have like taken myself to like a breakfast at Mrs. Gilmore's Tea Room, which is like a place I really like to go to eat, and like going by myself and like ordering something that I think would taste really good off of the menu and like treating myself to that. Like it feels really strange to do. Like I guess it shouldn't, but I don't know, like in our lives I feel like we don't do things like that for ourselves. We do it for other people, you know. I planned a trip to a bookstore and like just enjoyed like perusing books for an hour. I got a sketchbook just full of blank pages and like went and sat by a creek one time and tried just like, I don't really know how to draw, but like I tried sketching like a leaf I found. Sometimes I would go on a nature walk and collect like some flowers and press the flowers. Like those probably are all like kind of girly things, I don't know, but like those are things that I enjoy. So it's not like the things that I enjoy are what you need to do for yourself. But do you see, does that make sense? Do you feel like a little spark of creativity thinking about that? Like, can you think of some ideas like for something you could plan? You don't have to share it, but do you feel like you could think of an idea of something to do for yourself this week in that way?
Awesome. Sure.
Yeah. And so like if you have a week with more time, more money, more emotional or mental energy to spare, you could plan something more elaborate and special and memorable. And if it's a really busy week and you don't have many resources to spare in any of those areas, you could plan a 15-minute walk outside. You know what I mean? Just to be with yourself and clear your mind. If that's all you have, like it would be nicer to do something a little more than that, but if that's what you have that week, then fine, do it. You could like, some people like adult coloring books. There's also like I got a butterfly journal, which is just like a book of blank pages, and like you could, it's in the playlist too, I think, like art journaling and junk journaling. So that can be kind of a fun thing to do. You can just draw an abstract pattern with a Sharpie and then color in all of the like spaces in between the black lines with different colors of ink. You can like go out and find the pressed flowers or like cut pictures out of magazines and glue them to make a collage of something you're thinking about. So like any of those kinds of things, just like to give your brain a break from thinking about all of the things you probably are stressed out about in your life, and feel like this is like a time for you, like to enjoy your time instead of feeling stressed and working and frantic about like everything that you need to get done in your life. Does that make sense? Yeah. So those are the two big assignments for this week, and they will be the same. Those two will stay the same every week. Try to do the morning pages, 3 pages, pencil and pen on paper, first thing in the morning, 7 days, and try to plan one artist state, ideally at least an hour in length, and ideally something you planned ahead of time, like it's in your calendar, just like if you were planning a date like with your wife or whatever, and it's like, this is special, I've planned this, I know the place, I know the time, and I know the activity, and I know I'm excited about all of those things. Just like you could probably think of like something really cool to plan for Valentine's Day for your partner or for your child's birthday. Like you know what they like. You know that about yourself too. So try to plan something that you know will kind of like bring you joy in that during that time. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any questions or comments or thoughts about that? Or if you want to share your ideas about your own artist date, you can. But it's okay if nobody.
Yeah, I don't have any ideas. the idea of like doing something like kind of like separating myself from like what I want to do and rather like what would I do for myself as like another individual. I think that that was kind of helpful in terms of like the perspective, because if I'm just thinking about what I would do for myself, it would be like take care of the things I need to take care of, you know, as opposed to like
feeling the compassion for yourself and the like warmth and care. Oh, another thing I forgot to say, sometimes it's even more helpful, instead of just thinking of me like as a duplicate of my current self, to think of like my inner child. So picture myself as a little girl, and like what was it I didn't get then that would be really meaningful to me now. Sometimes that can really stir up the feelings of compassion, because it's pretty easy to feel warm, loving feelings towards a child, and sometimes it's, even if you separate yourself, it's like harder to like feel that for an adult. But so that's another technique that I find to be helpful. So okay, so let's see, Dwight, do you want to read the introduction, or it might be too far to go through the whole thing, but maybe you could go to where it says my own journey, if you feel comfortable reading them?
Sure.
I think it's the same in both books.
When people ask me what I do, I usually answer, I'm a writer-director and I teach these creativity workshops. The last one interests them. How can you teach creativity, they want to know. Defiance fights with curiosity on their faces. I can't, I tell them. I teach people to let themselves be creative. Oh, you mean we're all creative? Now disbelief and hope battle it out. Yes. You really believe that? Yeah. So, what do you do? This book is what I do. For a decade now, I've taught a spiritual workshop aimed at freeing people's creativity. I've taught artists and non-artists, painters and filmmakers, and homemakers and lawyers, anyone interested in living more creatively through practicing an art. Even more broadly, anyone interested in practicing the art of creative living. While using, teaching, and sharing tools I've found, devised, divined, and been handed, I've seen blocks dissolved and lives transformed by the simple process of engaging the great creator and discovering and recovering our creative powers. The great creator, that sounds like some Native American god. It sounds too Christian, too New Age, too stupid, simple-minded, threatening. I know. Think of it as an exercise in open-mindedness. Just think, okay, great creator, whatever that is, and keep reading. Allow yourself to experiment with the idea that there might be a great creator and you might get some kind of use from it in freeing your own creativity. Because the artist's way is, in essence, a spiritual path, initiated and practiced through creativity. This book uses the word God with a capital G. That's my own note there. This may be volatile for some of you, conjuring old, unworkable, unpleasant, or simply unbelievable ideas about God as you were raised to understand Him. Please be open-minded. I don't remember how far you told me to go.
How are you feeling? Oh no, Robbie, there's a dog down here. Oh
And
no.
it's adorable.
Hi, pupsies.
No, sorry.
Your disgust is immeasurable.
Oh, Robbie.
I heard you.
Oh,
It's so great. I only happened to hear you because Sterling really wanted to watch the camera. He was watching you and kept saying, "Mama, Mama."
Aww. I think maybe everybody is not afraid of dogs.
Yeah.
I don't like touching them. Their bodies feel so strange and stiff, like cats. So
Yeah, cats are like fluid.
yeah,
Cats are made of water.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Thank you. Goodbye,
They're
puppy.
I am stunned, Heather. Oh my god.
What?
You react to that dog like I would react to like those plastic shower curtains that have all the ridges in them. Like that, if I touch those, they give me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
You look like you were
Dog
having.
bodies are.
Yeah. Wow. I've
Right into a
never
cat.
seen anybody
That's
who
how I always
experienced
feel.
dogs in that way. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll keep going. If you want me
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
just cut me off whenever you want. Remind yourself that to succeed in this course, no God concept is necessary. In fact, many of our commonly held God concepts get in the way. Do not allow semantics to become one more block for you. When the word God is used in these pages, you may substitute the thought good orderly direction or flow. What we are talking about is creative energy. God is useful shorthand to many of us, but so is goddess, mind, universe, source, and higher power. The point is not what you name it, the point is that you try using it. For many of us, thinking of it as a form of spiritual electricity has been a very useful jumping off place. By the simple scientific approach of experimentation and observation, a workable connection with the flow of good orderly direction can easily be established. It is not the intent of these pages to engage in explaining, debating, or defining that flow. You do not need to understand electricity to use it. Do not call it God unless that is comfortable for you. There seems to be no need to name it unless that name is a useful shorthand for what you experience. Do not pretend to believe when you do not. If you remain forever an atheist, agnostic, so be it. You will still be able to experience an altered life through working with these principles. I have worked artist to artist with potters, photographers, poets, screenwriters, dancers, novelists, actors, directors, and with those who knew only what they dreamed to be, or who only dreamed of being somehow more creative. I have seen blocked painters paint, broken poets speak in tongues, halt and lame and maimed writers racing through final drafts. I have come to not only believe, but know. No matter what your age or your life path, whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, it is not too late or too egotistical or too selfish or too silly to work on your creativity. One 50-year-old student who always wanted to write used these tools and emerged as a prize-winning playwright. A judge used these tools to fulfill his lifelong dreams of sculpting. Not all students become full-time artists as a result of the course. In fact, many full-time artists report that they have become more creatively rounded into full-time people. Through my own experience.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. Through my own experience and that of countless others I have shared, I have come to believe that creativity is our true nature, that blocks are an unnatural thwarting of a process at once as normal and miraculous as the blossoming of a flower at the end of a slender green stem. I have found this process of making spiritual contact to be simple and straightforward. If you are creatively blocked, and I believe all of us are to some extent, it is possible, even probable, that you can learn to create more freely through your willing use of the tools this book provides. Just as Hatha Yoga stretches alters consciousness when all you're doing is stretching, doing the exercises in this book alters consciousness when all you're doing is writing and playing. Do these things and a breakthrough will follow, whether you believe in it or not, whether you call it a spiritual awakening or not. In short, the theory doesn't matter as much as the practice itself does. What you're doing is creating pathways in your consciousness through which the creative forces can operate. Once you agree to clearing those pathways, your creativity emerges. In a sense, your creativity is like your blood. Just as blood is a fact of your physical body and nothing you invented, creativity is a fact of your spiritual body and nothing that you must invent.
Is that the end of the
That's,
section?
yeah, I've got my
So,
own journey next.
Let's stop there because I wanted to save 5 minutes at the end here. Sorry, Haley, I'm real late. You're gonna like really see my face because I was just thinking. So since Pam and Ken both couldn't come today, and Dwight doesn't have the book yet, and I don't know who else isn't. Like maybe we can kind of start slow with the assignments. So I'll share this Google Doc with everyone. I'm thinking instead of like having a reading assignment, what if we just try to do the 7 days of morning pages, and of course the goals are 3 pages first thing in the morning, and using pen and paper or pencil and paper, but knowing like if you need to do a voice journal, if you need to type whatever, if you need to do it in the evening, like that's better than doing nothing. If you need to just do a few sentences, that's better than nothing. And oh Haley, you made this candle and I was using it to prop you up. That's so funny. And yeah, Haley's really creative. She makes these beautiful candles. Oh no, the dog.
It's
The
back.
dog is back, Robbie.
Yes, he's back.
And then
I swear I've been listening this whole time, but did you say three morning pages every morning?
right,
I know
three pages of morning pages. Like you're just supposed to write 3 pages out. Yeah.
Okay.
No, don't feel bad to ask questions. I mean, that's why we're talking. And then plan, these will be 2 separate assignments. Plan an artist's date, which means you need to schedule a time, plan a location, and then plan the activity for yourself. And it needs to be something you do alone, and then execute the artist date. So just those 3 assignments. So do the morning pages every day, plan your artist date, which includes scheduling a time, location, and activity that you do alone, and then execute the artist date. Those are just 3 steps. Does that make sense? Let's not do a reading assignment this week, because then everybody who couldn't come today can just like hear all the same stuff we read, and they can hear that, and then we can kind of maybe pick up all together next week and maybe start with reading assignments, because maybe it'll be nicer not to like try to pile too many assignments on right at first. But I was gonna say, if you go on YouTube, you can search The Artist's Way audiobook and you can listen to it if you want to, but that could be like an optional exercise. And if you have the book and you want to read it and start highlighting and underlining, like go right ahead, but let's not make it an assignment. So if you do that, you're going over and above. And I'm gonna send, I don't know, does it sound helpful to see the journaling playlist, or do you think like you wouldn't really be interested in that, everyone? How does that sound?
The what?
Oh, you might not have been here when I said it. So this playlist here, it's just like a few different videos that I have found over time that I thought were, oh, not Queen of Denial, that's not supposed to be on there. Let me remove that one. Sometimes that happens. But so like these are different, it's called Journaling Tips to Cleanse the Musical Mind. None of these are my videos, but they just were videos about journaling techniques or why journaling has been proven to be helpful, that I think are interesting. So if I'll just put it in the group chat with the class, and if you feel like watching some of those passively, I'll put it here in the Google Doc that I share with everyone too. So these could be optional, like assignments for the week. Listen to the journaling playlist, and listen to the audiobook if you want to on YouTube. So does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns? And so next week, and I'm gonna just like write this down while I'm saying it, what I would love, and you don't have to do this, but what I would love is if everyone could share how their assignments went, share how like the experience of morning pages was for you, like was it helpful, like what did you learn, would you want to keep doing it, did you hate it, like what were things that were difficult, and then share about your artist date as well, your first artist date. And if you don't want to share about anything you wrote in your morning pages or about what you actually did for your artist date, you don't have to share the details of what you did, but if you maybe could just share like what the experience of doing it was like for you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you can kind of be thinking about that while you're planning and executing the plans, and think about like what instead of just passively participating in the assignments, think about what you're like learning from it, so you could explain that to other people in a coherent way the next time. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing at all, it's like I'm not gonna like force you to, but I think that would be more beneficial. Any questions or concerns? Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. And let me. You have something, Haley?
You muted yourself, just so you know.
Oh no. Can you hear me now?
Good.
No? It doesn't say I'm muted. Okay, let me mute. Can you hear me now? No? Well, we're done anyway, so I'll just share the Google Doc with you and I will see you tomorrow for your private lesson, okay? Oh, she can't. I'll text you.
I was mystified.
I was like, she can
I
read
have
lips.
no idea what's happening right now.
She's like, you muted yourself, and I'm like, I'll see you tomorrow and I'll text you the link to the YouTube playlist and I'll email the Google Doc to everyone. She's like, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, so is texting better for everyone or is like Messenger better?
I'm not really much on Facebook, so
Okay. I'll
Texting
share
is
it
better
on
for me.
here. Oh, I think I'll have to share it from my computer, but. Oh, a turtley perspective. Catherine, is that you? Oh my goodness. Catherine, oh, that's so nice of you to join. Okay, and hopefully Pam then can watch